All right. Yeah, I know. I crunched my finger in a door after I finished practicing one day and then cut it to the bone. It's not a very exciting story, but you'll have to put up with this thick finger for the video. All right. What's cracking, guys? Good to be back, recording another video here. Doing a bit of teaching stuff, which I'm really keen on. Topic that's really dear and close to my heart today. I know there'll be some people out there saying, where's the other video about practicing? And there was a series going about how to learn a song. I haven't quite found the right song to use for this next one yet, so just bear with me on that. But in the meantime, very excited about this one here. Talking about how to set up your drum kit, which is something that's quite close to my heart as something that doesn't get talked about enough in the drumming world. Because when you're setting up your drum kit, you really want it to be as natural as possible to play. If you're setting up on somebody else's kit and you don't take the time to, maybe change the seat height or change to where the cymbals are, you might have practiced for ages this one specific part, and when you get to it playing live and your drums aren't quite set up the same way, and your muscle memory just kind of forgets the places where you're supposed to be playing things, and it doesn't actually end up happening the way that you want it to. So I wanted to talk about this today, talk about the way that I set up my kit from scratch, and then talk a little bit about if I was playing on someone else's kit or at a house kit, what I would do, how much time I would spend making adjustments. So let's get into it. Now we're going to start actually talking about something that's not entirely about setting up the kit, but making it sound good. Talking about tuning the bass drum. So I'm just, speeding through this clip here of me tuning up this bass drum for the Blink-182 cover band that I'm in. This acrylic kit made by a guy named Nick Pancini. The way that I like to tune my bass drum, for this bass drum at least, makes it sound really good, is by just making those lugs finger tight. So just finger tightening those lugs. So getting the drum key and kind of getting them all, equated to the right kind of level, and just as tight as my fingers can get them, that's how tight I want it to be. And that, for this bass drum, has given it a really nice, punch. It's got a really good frequency now, because all of those lugs are at the same kind of tightness. So I like finger tightening those lugs there and just leaving it at that. Apart from that, tuning the resonant head, the one that the bass drum isn't hitting, just a little bit higher, can also get a good tone out of your bass drum. But I like to tune that bass drum up, just finger tightening. And the first thing that I actually like to do when I'm setting up my kit is making sure that I'm sitting comfortably and that my feet are set properly. So you'll see me here setting up my stool and getting it to the right height so that my knees are kind of almost at right angles, maybe a little bit of an obtuse angle rather than just a right angle. And I want to make sure that I'm feeling comfortable, that my feet are in the right spot. And as you'll see me doing there, I'm just doing a bit of air drumming. So if I, I'm pretending that is where I'm going to set up the rest of my kit. If my seat is here, does it feel comfortable to play a bass drum or a hi-hat pedal? Does it feel comfortable to have my, my sticks in the right spot? Like, does it feel comfortable at where I'm sitting, so I can make an adjustment to how high that chair is and move some things around from there. So I want to make sure that I'm set on my stool first, and you'll see me here start to set up my bass drum pedals. Now what I normally like to do is like to do my air drumming, like to see where it would be comfortable to have a bass drum pedal, and then kind of slot my bass drum pedal in to where it was comfortable to do so. So you'll see me here as I'm setting up my double kick pedal. I'm making sure that it's all tight and it's all good and sorted and ready to go. I'm going to clip this into my bass drum. But I shouldn't be worried about where that bass drum is when I'm actually setting it up. So I want to make sure that I'm set properly and that I can move that bass drum around anywhere I want because of where I'm comfortable sitting. So I want to be comfortable where I'm sitting, and everything else has to conform to where I'm sitting. Because if I'm sitting in the wrong position, if I'm too low down, then that's no good. But if I'm too high up, it's no good either. If I'm sitting in the right spot, that's going to make everything else much more comfortable. So I want everything else to conform to the way that I'm sitting down on the stool so that it's nice and comfortable for me. So you see me here showing off with a couple of little triplet beats, but I'm making sure that I'm comfortable, that double bass drum there is in the right spot and that's sitting well for me. After that, I want to continue with getting my feet sorted. So I'll get my hi-hat stand out and I'll just use the base of that here, as you can see. Getting that sorted. I know at this stage where it, wants to be in relation to my bass drum for it to be comfortable, but I just want to put that next to my bass drum pedal. And if I was just using one bass drum pedal and not a double kick, then I would just do my first bass drum pedal, then my hi-hat pedal, and I would do my air drumming type thing. I would want to sit comfortably. I would want to imagine where I would like my hi-hat pedal to be, and then slot my hi-hat pedal into that place where I'd like it to be. So then I've got my bass drum, my hi-hat pedal, and my feet are sitting well, and I'm feeling comfortable in my chair. And then from there, I want to start setting up all the other shells, so all the other drums that I've got. So you'll see me set up this snare drum here. That'll be the next thing that I want to do. You'll see me again doing a bit of air drumming and tapping away on it, see if it's comfortable, and it seems like I'm happy with where it is. After that, I'll then pop my shells on, so I'll get to the floor tom, I get my rack tom going. I want to make sure that they're in a good spot, and as I'm doing that, trying to sort out where those shells will go, I might get my sticks out and then just see the distance that I want them to be away. So maybe the floor tom, if I'm playing comfortably with it over on this side, it needs to be a certain distance away so that my sticks are hitting the middle of the drum where it's comfortable for me to sit. I'm not having to lean over and stretch out to play the center of the drum, but that it's nice and comfortable for me to play it right there. So see me as well do a quick tune up of my floor tom. I like to start by tuning up the bottom of the head because I've already got it flipped upside down because I'm chucking the legs in there. The key thing that I'm trying to do when I'm tuning drums, one of the main goals is to get the head matching pitch at all of the lugs. So if you didn't know, each of the drums that you play will have lugs on the side that you can tighten and loosen. And it's just like the springs of a trampoline. If you've got really loose springs of a trampoline, that trampoline's gonna get really, flobby, for lack of a better word. And if those springs are really tight, it's gonna vibrate quite quickly, and it's gonna give you a better bounce. And that's a similar sort of thing with the drums. We tune those lugs tightly. It's like tight springs. That head is going to vibrate quicker, which means it's going to be higher pitch. And if we've got all of the lugs pitched matched, so if I hit one of the lugs or hit the head just up where one of the lugs is and try and hit some of the other ones, I'll see that they're maybe different pitches. It might be a boom or a boom, slightly different. You might tune those to be the same and just move along the head so that you're matching those pitches as you go. And so I like to do the bottom one first, get that pitch match because I've already got it turned over because I'm putting those floor tom legs in, and get those pitch matched. And I'd like that head to be just a little bit higher pitched than the what we call the batter head, the top head, the one that you actually hit there. So you'll see me tuning this up, and I'll flip it over, pop it in the right spot. And now it's rack tom time, which is an exciting time for us all. So what I like to do here is the rack toms that I've got going at the moment have some kind of suspension attachment that I've got. So either for my Mapex kit, which is the wooden one, or for this acrylic kit, they both have a mount that will go onto the crash cymbal stand that I've got next to it. And so what I like to do is pop it on the mount. I'll then move that mount around. I might turn it upside down to tune up that bottom head quickly, get it all pitch matched, get it higher pitched than the top head, flip it over, pitch match those lugs on the top there, so I'm tuning it up quickly, and then I want to slot it in place so that the rack tom is in the right spot that I want it to be. And the right spot that I want it to be will probably be different to the right spot that you want your rack tom to be. So I always like having my snare drum at just over like knee height, so that if I'm trying to get some rim shots, it's nice and consistent because it's always in the same spot. So I want my snare drum to be just above where my knees are, My rack tom I also like to have pretty flat, same as my snare drum, and I want it to be positioned as close to the snare drum as possible, while still being over the bass drum. So I don't want it to go off to the left so that I can have it at the same height. I want it to be in line with my snare drum a little bit, and as close to the bass drum as it can get without the worry of scratching the bass drum. Because that'd be a real bummer if it starts to scratch the bass drum every time I hit it. So I want the snare drum to be flat, rack tom to be flat, floor tom I like to be flat as well, and then at what I said before, the right distance away so that it's comfortable for me to just hit the center of the drum with my stick. I don't have to bring my hand in at all to get close and hit the center, or I don't want to have to stretch out to hit the center of that bass drum, or that floor tom there. So I like to have those drums in that arrangement. And then after I've got all those shells in place, that's when I start putting all my cymbals around. And it's just a bit of a methodical process with my cymbals. I like to start, with my ride cymbal, just because I do. I don't know if there's any real reason. And then put my hi-hats on, and then put my crash cymbal on. But that's all very interchangeable. It doesn't really matter what order I do these things in, because after I've got all the shells in place, they're the important ones. They're the ones that actually sit on the floor, and those cymbals can hover above, so I can put those really anywhere that suits after that. And then my next process is just making sure that everything is sitting in the right place for me. So instead of doing my air drumming like I did before, when I was just sitting on my chair trying to think about where things could go, at this stage I'd actually like to start hitting some of those things. Is it comfortable for me to play my ride cymbal where it is right now? Is it comfortable for me to hit this crash cymbal and also be able to hit this rack tom? Do my fills make sense? Do they have enough space? I'm asking all those questions in my brain, just to make sure that it's set and ready to go for my practice or for the gig. But that's generally the process, actually. There's a couple of extra little things that I like to do. I like to put a percussion table off to the left of my hi-hat so that I can put my phone down, my keys down, all sorts of things just down so it's out of my pocket. I like to have my stick bag is a great stick bag that Mono make that have some clips that I like to attach to my floor tom. So I've got my sticks there. I can pull out a set of sticks if I drop a stick while I'm playing. I've got one of those sizzlers, which is just like a chain with some ball bearings on my crash cymbal that I like to put on, because I love the way that it makes that crash cymbal sound. Just gives it a bit of extra sustain, gives it a bit of extra brightness when it's a really dark cymbal. And that's about it for setting up my kit. I hope this is a helpful video. If you're there and at a loss for how to set up your drum kit when you go on a practice, what's the best way to make it most comfortable? What's the best way to actually get it working for you instead of you working to try and work around your drum kit? Because that's not what it's all about. Gear is about it working for you instead of you working around the gear. And just a quick little wrap up here as well. This is if I'm setting up a kit from scratch, and if it's my kit and I've got all the things that I normally like about my kit ready. But if I'm playing a gig somewhere else and I'm playing someone else's kit, you never really want to be that guy who's spending 20 minutes making adjustments to a drum kit while everyone else in the band and the sound tech and the crowd are waiting for you to get ready. So you want to kind of weigh up how much time you've got to how worth it is to move around every single tom and every single cymbal. But I will say that it's very worth moving things around. Your guitarist or your bass player will be connecting pedals or setting up their thing, and sound guy will be getting them to test sound and levels on stage. And while they're doing that, you've got plenty of time to just make sure that ride cymbal's at the right spot, crash cymbal's at the right spot, and that the seat is at the right height. They're some of the key ones, and your snare drum's at the right height as well. I want to make sure that my cymbals are in a good spot. I'm actually comfortable when I'm sitting down. I'm not sitting up too high, and I'm not sitting up too short. And my snare drum's at a right height so that I can actually play it, and it'll be as close to the practice room as possible. So, I hope that's helpful. Stay tuned for other videos that I'm doing about teaching lessons of something on the drums, because I'm really liking doing this kind of stuff and editing these together. So I hope this was helpful, and happy practicing.